So, welcome, brothers. We are about to do something new and different. New and different meaning in the history of Flesh and Spirit community and our adjacent community of the Missing Thread Mystery School, we have been teaching about the archetype of the peaceful warrior for about 30 years now. So we've taught it to hundreds of people in stage events. We've done it in small groups. We've done it in intimate kind of day-long experiences or 2-day-long experiences with folks, and it's yummy. It's oftentimes life-changing. If nothing else, it opens you up to more awareness of how your body and your mind and your heart are all deeply connected in the stories that are what we call body stories. Live inside of you. And the more that you're aware of not just kind of your conscious mind, but what's going through your body as you react to the world and engage in the world in which you're living. So, bringing us to the current moment, we are going to do a night exploring the archetype of the peaceful warrior with queer men, gay, bisexual, transgender men who love men in this space, and just kind of nibble together on concepts, ideas, constructs that are all embodied stuff. So it's juicy, it's sometimes fun and playful. Some of it's a little bit like, oh, wow, you're moving into spaces that are opening up. But what I know right now is we're living in very uncertain times. We're living in times in which we may feel directly or indirectly threatened by a lot of things that are going on. And so, the history of the peaceful warrior is about teaching about surviving and thriving. So it's juicy stuff. And let me just tell you a few ideas. So the peaceful warrior, and it has its origin in all kinds of things. And then I know there have been books written about the peaceful warrior by different writers, but throughout history, there have always been peaceful warriors. So it's more than just kind of an archetype. It's something that has been lived out, that people who have survived and thrived and kind of found their purpose, their calling, their awakening, have been on a journey of. In ancient Tibetan Buddhism and in indigenous cultures, there are many different names for the peaceful warrior. So the peaceful warrior is the heartful warrior, the spiritual warrior. There's the work that's going on called the new warrior, but all kinds of archetypes around the warrior. And in ancient Buddhism, though, the definition for a peaceful warrior that applies so well to the times in which we're living is the peaceful warrior's journey is to do what? Is to be willing to face one's fears and to be willing to know yourself. So this work is about kind of revealing what's unconscious material a lot of times, or just below the surface, that needs to get revealed so that you can have your breakthroughs, that you can survive and thrive in these times, no matter how opulent and flourishing or how oppressive it feels, that there's always a way. And the peaceful warrior is going to kind of guide us on that journey. And during that AIDS epidemic, was when I started doing this work very, very actively. And it was bringing together all of the literature, the scientific literature and the healing arts and behavioral science literature, and looking at people who were surviving and thriving through very difficult challenges, oftentimes life-threatening diseases as AIDS, but as in addictions and events that are, you know, surviving through wars or battles and struggles of their life. And what I found was there was a whole mass of literature about how our mind or our mindset has an impact on what we put out and what we get back. And those people who tend to survive and thrive and better live in these bodies with more health, more longevity, more prosperity, more sense of purpose, all of those things went into what I started seeing as 5 different kind of components that we'll play with a little bit, at least give you some teaser exercises for if you come to this evening workshop with other brothers to explore. And one of them is about asking for help. And not, you know, the skill-based, you know, probably most of you who are healers and change agents and doing work on yourself on a spiritual journey, you probably have some of that already down. But where are you getting kind of stuck and asking for help? So we teach an exercise that's kind of been our code exercise that came from the martial art called Aikido. And Aikido is not about a defensive posturing or an attacking posturing as a martial art. It is about a harmonizing process. So when the energy's coming at you, instead of becoming a victim of it, and in these days, there's all kinds of energy coming at us. And so that energy, how do you take the energy and instead of letting it like hit you, or even if it does hit you, how can you begin to harmonize it? How can you deflect it? How can you channel it so it becomes part of your healing journey, rather than having to resist it or push it back or whatever. And so we're going to teach you about kind of the concept of asking for help out of some being powerful, feeling needy, feeling centered, yummy stuff. And so it'll be fun, it'll be playful, and especially with a group of men kind of doing interactive work, doing our storytelling and sharing, but getting our bodies involved, moving around, doing some breath work, doing some touch work even, but around really waking up. Oh, what's hindering me from being fully in? I'll show you the Aikido exercise. So it goes like this. And in Aikido, this exercise is kind of one part of a 2-part whole. And the one part is you're opening up. It's kind of like a lover, you know, welcome. You're welcoming all the good gifts that you want for your life, for your journey, for whatever it is that you think you're being called to do and be in the world. So you're just opening up. And kind of like Rumi always talks about, kind of opening up to the beloved, opening up to the divine, opening up to your brothers and sisters, to the world, to all of creation. I'm open, I'm available. But in these times, so much is kind of getting shielded because we're feeling threatened, even if it's not on a conscious level, on an unconscious level. So how can you open up? Well, the other part of being a peaceful warrior is the peaceful warrior is one who is both powerful and compassionate. So, you can open it up because you can surrender. It feels safe enough. But the other part is like doing this of the same exercise from Aikido. So in putting that energy out there, you're putting your intention, your purpose, your no, I'm setting a boundary for myself. And so that is felt. And if that's a felt experience in your body, then you're going to feel safe even in, horrible circumstances. I mean, one of the people that I'll draw on when we meet here, but is kind of Viktor Frankl, who was in a concentration camp. But he made it through the concentration camp every day, helping himself to feel more safe, more powerful in the least powerful position he could possibly be in the concentration camps. And how he did that was he had a mindset of every day practicing, that he would see himself teaching the psychology of surviving the concentration camps to students. So that kind of held him through that. So asking for help, dealing with conflict, gosh, there's so much going on in the world. How can you bring heart into it? Or as I say, rise up lovingly. How can you take the energy that's coming at you and work with it? So it's more about healing than it is about offense, defense kind of stuff. Living fully in your yes and no. My beloved, who is behind the camera, is a big old foodie. So I never have to wonder whether he's enjoying himself when he's with food. He's like ecstatic. Or when he's playing music, he's ecstatic. When we're ecstatic, when we're in that place of just like, yes! Or sometimes, no! Is so important. One of my teachers used to always say that if you listen to your body, one of the most loving things you can do is say no to somebody. So we're going to play with some of that too, and just kind of, what's the big yes? And what are the things that are no inside of you? And setting boundaries. Oh gosh, one of the brothers came and did a peaceful warrior thing, and he and his partner, were not doing really great with each other. And what the discovery was for the guy who came to the workshop was that he longed for a kind of intimacy that his partner was not seemingly capable of, and oftentimes somewhat abusive to him. He learned in that workshop about, I need to be powerful and compassionate and set my boundary because I love myself so much. And he immediately kind of got out of that relationship and opened up then to the kind of intimacy that he really wanted that was more congruent for him. So no matter why you might think, why would I come to a peaceful warrior workshop or a night kind of playing around with this, it's because what you put out is what you get back. So if unconsciously putting out something that says, I'm not worthy, then what are you going to get back? Something that says, yeah, you're not. But if you put out something, I am worthy, then, there's a whole different dynamic that starts happening energetically. And then being your own authority. In these days, the truth that's going to set us all free is the truth that's inside of us. And so it's not about a sacred text. It's not about anybody else's reality. It's about yours. And what is the truth that's going to set you free? Because that's the only truth you need to hold on to. and cherish and nurture for yourself. So we'll play with all that stuff and a whole lot more. It'll be fun, it'll be playful and illuminating. And why are we doing this? So we want to do this, if nothing else, you come to this evening long experience and it's going to be juicy and you may learn some things, but I want to put out the invitation that in these times, I believe community is more the antidote than anything to what's going on in the world. So if we can start a peaceful warrior kind of little community, maybe 8 or 12 men who come together and meet, however many times we decide, but that we would meet so that we could kind of unpack some of this story stuff and actually be in that place where you're just really living much more fully in your yes. So muse on these thoughts. Know it's going to be an interesting night, and know that there will be a follow-up kind of possibility of doing kind of a support therapeutic process that I will lead with my beloved, and we'll just see where this journey takes us. But I know we can survive, and we can more than survive, we can thrive. Namaste.